Hey guys, today with the topic, I've been in no contact for months, she does not get in touch. Slowly I give up. Or, for some that may also be the case, do I have to do something? At the moment it doesn't seem to help. First of all the latter, the statement it doesn't bring anything. I don't want to go so far and say that your no contact is just implemented like shit. But you're not doing everything I'm telling you to do. You're listening to this or this from others and not implementing it with all your available capacity. How do I know this? If you've been in no contact for months, paying attention only to what's good for you and putting her out of your mind, you don't wake up one morning thinking you'd feel better if you had the pre-breakup time with her again. Then you would have realized that it is up to you alone if you are happy again, and she might be someone who could extend that happiness, but never someone who is completely responsible for it. And you don't want someone like that back at any price. Yes, you can imagine taking them back if the relationship offers different conditions and ends better for you than last time. This person may not have completely shot himself out with you. That is fine. But you are still too behind. You are too needy, and that is mostly because you are not keeping them away from you. You are still actively thinking about her and engaging in thoughts with her instead of doing something meaningful in the time. And that drags down, or leads to the illusion of action. What is she doing right now? Is she thinking about me? Does this make any sense at all? And will this lead to her taking me back? Completely wrong way of thinking. Her behavior does not justify you actively dealing with it, and her taking you back shows that your self-worth is still not playing eye to eye with hers. You don't depend on her, but you tell yourself you do and don't find any confirmation to the contrary because you don't do enough about it. The way humans work is this: first comes incomprehension and denial of reality, then comes sadness, despair, and possibly anger. When you have let out all the feelings that you had inside you, you enter a state that resembles depression. You seem powerless and nothing feels like it will get you anywhere. You have to get to the next point as soon as possible, and that is the acceptance of your current situation. You may already be there at the moment, but this will be interrupted every now and then by relapses from previous phases. Especially if you get involved in them and don't get out of them. You will not die of it, you are at your lowest point, it can only go uphill, but you have to take care of that yourself. And then, when you don't expect it at all, relief. You see clearly what she was to you, how she treated you, especially at the end. The need to be with her may still be there, but more like you were together at the beginning and not at the end. You pushed this person off her pedestal without even actively working on it. You have been looking out for yourselves instead of dealing with her. If you are not at that point yet, then keep doing it or start doing it. That is the way. Time alone won't do it for you, and if you're still sitting there after months and you're constantly miserable with her not getting in touch, then you have the completely wrong mindset. Because the longer she doesn't get in touch, the more irresistible you could become to her. The attraction you once had? How good were you back then? Give yourself a few months of intense work on yourself and you'll easily put yourself from back then in her pocket. Competing with other men she might be interested in or with whom she might be dating in the meantime? Don't itch, because you know what your value is, and if she can't see that, then that's her problem. You are not always the best option for each other. Maybe too much has happened, maybe she has problems of her own that you shouldn't accept because they keep you down or cause too much drama. You should also consider this. If you want to be with a woman, you have to be her best possible option at that moment and in the future. That's what you think if you know my videos. But very few of the people I deal with after a breakup think the other way around. Has the woman ever been their best option? Did she really do you as good as her memory makes it seem? Or did you get attached to her and then think her quirks were normal? And by quirks I mean obvious red flags like excessive jealousy, disrespect, or exes in orbit, and not that she's got a cleaning obsession and opens her bananas the wrong way. Anyway, what am I getting at? You are still too close to her emotionally to even have a chance with her again, should she approach you with interest. The possibly only chance you have would be ruined because you have not managed to learn to act neutral and unaffected towards her during your no contact. You should have taken her off the pedestal and treated her like any other person. Otherwise it won't work. That is your goal. Not for her, but for you. If it becomes something again, you want a relationship at eye level that lasts because she wants you as much as you want her. If it doesn't work out, you don't want to live with these thoughts about her until the end of your days, because they only drag you down and serve no other purpose. It's up to you. Hang in there more or don't complain. I'm happy to help, but there are also people who can be told one thing 100 times and agree 100 times before they go right back to doing the opposite and never understand what, how and why it all has to be at that moment. That is your decision. But don't expect different results if you always act the same way. This is the definition of insanity, and accordingly you are insane. Not a good starting point for a woman to take you back, is it? It's a red flag for her, and I understand if it's too big for her to want you back if she notices. So get yourselves out of this cycle. Now to the other case. Namely this: she doesn't contact me for months, I give up. You will get to that point one way or another. Of course you can replace this statement with the confidence that she will definitely come back. But then you still think about it all the time. I'm happy to give you confidence when it's appropriate, but I'll also tell you that people, their lives and thought processes are so darn individual that you can never say 100% that it will come back. A big part of it is up to you, and if you focus on you, the odds go up. The more you invest in yourself, the higher it will be. But you can only give it your all if you act independently of it. It also depends a lot on whether you really find your own way and stand up for yourself. Because it brings nothing to develop in her direction. That also comes across as needy to the outside world, and that's the last thing an ex wants to see from you once she's called off the relationship. Therefore, the less hope you exude in her direction, the more and more effectively you can work on yourself, and the higher your chance of her getting interested again. Completely paradoxical, I realize, and it's an inner attitude you can't initially have with the conviction you might need. For that you need positive confirmation through your actions. If these deeds only concern you, then you will definitely get the confirmation. Inner peace and contentment. Then comes the point where you think to yourself, it's been quite a while now, there will certainly be nothing more. And you never know what is going on with her during the no contact. Usually after a long time it's key events that happen in her life, like a loss or a down phase, that make her second-guess her past decisions. What you need for this to become something again is just a glimpse of you that sparks interest in them. Women are curious by nature, and if you have really stepped on the gas, it will keep stimulating their interest to the point of reporting it because they just can't help themselves at that moment. Their separation barriers are lowered, they no longer consider you to be the same person they separated from, and in the best-case scenario you are not either. And out of nowhere comes a message. It doesn't matter whether you waited for it or said to yourself, this won't happen again. They act independently of your thoughts. Or they don't. Therefore, hope is a nice motivator in the beginning that brings you into action. Over time, however, it keeps you tied to it in your thoughts and, in the worst case, leads you to think you have to do something. So it's actually even an advantage to realize that she may never hear from you again. It is even nicer when the opposite happens and you are ready to be adult and human towards her. Not to go completely off the deep end and then mess it up because you put too much pressure on her or expect more from her right after a short time. From there, yes, it can take months. Exes are constantly contacting you with the most stupid topics, just to see how you feel about them. And then if you act right and are far enough along, you may have another chance together. But until then, don't complain about it and accept. Only this way you can get to the point with the best chance, and if it doesn't come, then you're still fine with the attitude and what you've achieved so far, and you'll eventually be ready to share it all with someone who really wants you. Take care, and until the next video.